Would you think I was crazy if I told you that you could replace your staff for next to nothing, if not free? Better listen to this podcast because we're going to get right into how ChatGPT is a wizard.
I said, I want to know everything about Eric McKellen.
Oh God, please don't.
And it said, he has a little girl physique, boring personality, dumb as a fucking box of rocks.
That's what I got ChatGPT for, man.
We knew this stuff wasn't always accurate.
The title today is how ChatGPT is replacing staff. And I've got some first-hand experience. What about you?
I'm going to use it right now. How to cure a hangover.
Anyways, so let's talk about ChatGPT and some of the things that it can do. And then what I personally use it for, you're going to find it pretty interesting. And it's a pretty powerful tool. What do you think, Josh?
I use it literally every single day.
I do the exact same thing. So let's get into it. So let's talk about today's podcast and how I took ChatGPT and I can relate it directly to what we are doing right now. So last night, in my infinite wisdom and tireless work ethic, so I'm sitting at the house, couldn't sleep. I'm sitting there thinking about today's podcast, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk ChatGPT, see what it says. And mind you, I've spent a lot of time in ChatGPT, and I tell it all about myself, what I'm doing, what my businesses do, what the podcast is about. So I give ChatGPT lots and lots of information daily. So, and I would tell everybody who's watching to do the same thing, because the more it knows about you, the more it can kind of tailor your answers specifically to you. Now, so today, what I did is I put in all the information. I said, hey, write me a couple of good topics that I could talk about that is related to my business and related to Chasing Millions podcasts. And bing, bam, boom, it gives you a bunch of topics. If you don't like them, then you can further specify information and make sure to kind of tailor it to what you're looking for. So it took me a couple minutes, and that's about it, a couple minutes, and I had lots and lots of options, right? And then boom, I landed on ChatGPT, and I was like, holy smokes. We talk about it a little bit on a lot of these podcasts, and it would be good for our viewers to know what you can do with it, how we're using it, and how it's saving us time, money, effort, and potentially staff. So that's an easy explanation. And that's right now today what we're doing. Came directly from ChatGPT. I learned how to prompt it correctly. I fed it with information. It gave me this. It gave me lots and lots of information. You just take what you need. So what do you think? What do you use it for on a daily basis?
Well, to correct my misspelled words.
That's all of us, and that's a fact. But you are the world's worst speller.
Oh my God,
I'm pretty
I cannot
sure.
spell anything.
You are not the spelling bee champ.
Man, I can do math, but I cannot spell. That's why chemistry was so hard. It was like math and words.
Yeah.
And letters. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But no, I use it. I think I've been using it the most lately because we've been reviewing all of our contracts.
And that's a good one to talk about.
So, like,
Elaborate.
I upload the contracts and I tell it to act like I said, please act like my attorney and review this contract. And I tell it what the things I want it to look for. Like, hey, what is the out clause? Do I have an out clause? You know what I mean? What is the term? And please highlight all these things. What would be some concerns if you were me? And this is the services I'm providing. You know, is this a lopsided contract? So I tell all these little things, and it goes in there and it puts some bullet points in there. And then plus I'm reading it myself. But what it's done for me is that it saves me a lot of time when I do go in there and finalize a contract with an attorney. Because sometimes, to be honest with you, probably shouldn't be saying this on our podcast, but I have a multifamily development that we're going through. And I uploaded the PUD. This is what you have when you develop a project for real estate. I uploaded the PUD, uploaded the contract, right? And the city's fighting me because they want me to put this electric gate in there, but it's not in the PUD. The PUD's a stamped document that you file.
It's the end all be all.
It's the end all be all. It's how you build things.
Yeah.
And the city says, hey, in the meeting minutes, this is what you need to do. And I said, well, I don't build things off meeting minutes.
No.
Those are just discussions. That's not a legal binding contract.
Makes sense.
And so now they're wanting me to put this $50,000-$60,000 gate in and all this additional fencing, and I fought them. They have the whole cards in their hands still, but now they hired an attorney, outside counsel, and I've been, instead of hiring an attorney, I've been fighting their attorney with ChatGPT 4 Pro.
And
I'm tearing them up.
Yeah, I was like, and I know a little bit about this, and you were laughing about it because
they had to go hire 2 separate attorney groups. And I'm sending their responses and their formal letters into ChatGPT 4 Pro, and I'm responding. And it sounds better than our attorney that we use.
Yeah.
And it's like this.
Yeah, you guys better nugget some of this stuff that we're going to tell you about today because the possibilities are endless.
I would have had, I told Jimbo, we would have had $30,000 in attorney fees just fighting this one little thing. You know what? We got our COs yesterday.
Boom.
We got our COs yesterday.
Boom.
You know what I mean? And we didn't get in a lawsuit. And I said, well, I can fight. And I said, hey, we're at the ramifications if they're going to hold back our tenants from moving in and da-da-da-da-da. Listen, and I typed in their monthly rent rate, and they had a daily accrued of what I could lose in loss of revenue. And I sent it to them. I was like, do you really want to fight this battle?
Yeah, I mean, that's mind-blowing if you guys are listening and understand what he's talking about.
So I never put on there I had an attorney. I just was sending direct emails for mine with my little signature on the bottom. They probably thought I had some high-powered attorney in Tulsa.
Sitting right next to you, typing back as fast as...
You know what I mean? They were probably like, golly, this guy's... And it was funny because I would send a response. It would take them 5 days. It would take me 1 hour. They had my response in an hour. Mm-hmm. ChatGPT 4 Pro. We're doing it right now with our attorneys. It's taken us 4 or 5 weeks to go over one contract that we could probably upload in ChatGPT 4.
Yeah, and he's giving you very specific, right, information, and which is great information.
I just told you how I used it yesterday. Jimbo's been on my ass to put our budgets to our bank. So I uploaded our floor plan into ChatGPT 4 Pro. And I forgot that there's like a couple add-ons you can do on there. And I uploaded the Excel spreadsheet. And I said, what am I missing? Does the price per square foot on sheetrock look good? Does the price for the concrete price look good? And it measured the entire house on that whole thing and spit out the Excel spreadsheet how they would bid it. So there's some things I had to go in there and put that it would not know, like lot cost.
Sure.
But what it did is extracted all the data in the region. Yeah. For concrete, from lumber, to labor man hours, to shingle prices, everything. And it put on there, here's the suggestions of what this stuff costs you.
So I'm going to stay on contracts. Yeah, it's mind-blowing, right? And we learn stuff every week using it and different things that it can do and its limitations. And there are limitations, but they're getting those figured out too. But speaking of contracts, I know everybody that is watching this podcast that has a business or that is trying to start their business, and maybe even just individual regular people, are looking or have looked at contracts. AT&T, if you have a phone, or just everybody's got contracts. And everybody that's watching just signs there at the bottom, at the dotted line there at the bottom, have no clue what's in there. And now it is literally as simple as you take that contract, you upload it into PDF, you send it to ChatGPT, you say, hey, what do I need? Well, what issues are going to arise out of this? What was the word you used earlier? What are my...
Act like my attorney.
Act like my attorney.
Act like my CPA. I just send over all of our financials to M&G Financial because we do our year-end tax filings for our business. And I said, act like my CPA. Review all my financials for the entire year and figure out any which way possible I might be miscategorizing or there might be something I'm missing.
Yeah.
And it spit out, I'm talking about like 4-page summary.
Yeah. So even as simple as just throwing a contract in there and seeing what could potentially happen or transpire out of that contract by signing it. Well, instead of you taking you forever to read through all of that, it can summarize it for you. It can tell you what the issues are. It can tell you what to look for. And I suggest every single person, at minimum, just be putting their contracts in there to understand what their obligations are.
Well,
right?
Here's the biggest deal. I think it's leveling the playing field. Because you have these big corporations, they can hire attorneys, right? They can hire procurement people. You don't need that. You can still have an attorney on staff, or still have an attorney on, like we do, that we basically have on retainer. But you really don't need them. You do need them, but you really don't need them. I mean, if you're a small business, you don't want to pay $400 an hour to $600 an hour for attorney fees to review a contract. You upload that thing in there.
Boom. They just did it.
Yeah, now you're competitive. You just cut costs. Boom. So I look at it from two different perspectives. Can I be a lot more efficient and effective, and can I cut costs doing it? And in my opinion, ChatGPT does all those things fast. Speed is everything.
So let's talk about some simple use cases for it. So some of you guys, if you're like me, I can get my words out on paper, right? But sometimes the vocabulary is screwed up, or my punctualities are screwed up, or something's screwed up. And you can literally just highlight. You can write something up, highlight it, throw it into ChatGPT, and this is on like an email or text. You can just highlight it, throw it into ChatGPT, say, hey, reword this, make it sound like this. You can say, hey, make it very soft toned or different tones. You can do all kinds of things, and just like that, it's going to put it in perfect formality, perfect punctualities, perfect spelling, that fast. So that is a simple, easy way to use it. And I know you used it that way.
I told it the other day, hey, make this sound like a redneck kid from Hominy, Oklahoma, and put a little bit of humor in it. Enter. And it
said, y'all. It said, hey, y'all.
I had to erase some of it. But the problem with it is it still spelled everything correctly, and it had perfect apostrophes and perfect commas.
Something's up.
But it really, a lot of older generation does not use it. They don't want to use it. And it's for us, younger generation, even younger than us. I mean, I wish I had it during college. I would have probably been a straight A student.
Yeah, we always joke about that. It's like, we had just a basic calculator that we couldn't bring into our test, and just nothing. And
I tell you how I used it for my family. My kids were like, hey, what do I got to do to make money? I need to make some money. They're at that age. You know what I mean? They want things, and I'm like, well, I'm just not going to give you money for doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's just not my spirit. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a list of things that you can do, and if you do it, and I put a dollar figure behind it. And I put that sucker into ChatGPT 4 Pro. And I say 4 Pro, the reason why I say 4 Pro, because 4 Pro is a lot more intuitive, and it does a lot more things than ChatGPT. I'm just telling you right now, it costs you a little bit of money, but it's worth every single dollar.
What is it, like $20 a month or something like that?
We have the enterprise or business, whatever. It's like $700 or $800 a year, up to like 4 users.
Yes, just cheap.
Yeah, I saved that on one contract.
Yeah.
I saved about 30,000, probably 40,000 on that
in one deal.
In that one gate.
Yeah.
But I told it to map out chores and put it on a task list, and it went boop. And then I went home that night, hit print.
There you go.
Ashley's doing revisiting her contracts with at her hospital. I uploaded their contracts and reviewed it for her, and marked a few things out.
Yeah.
And they actually I tell you something, it did that was super funny. And this is what really, really irks other attorneys, okay? Or people that write contracts. Not all people that write contracts are attorneys, but this was our attorney. I caught our attorney misspelling words. I didn't catch him. ChatGPT.
There you go.
But misspelling words, some of the things that they put in there, ChatGPT pulled it out and highlighted it, said, hey, I don't think this is relevant to what you're needing. I don't think this will hold up. Here's how you need to reword it. I sent that back out to our attorney, and guess what?
He's like, oh, you're right.
Yeah, he was like, man, that's a good perspective. I didn't tell him I had ChatGPT.
No, why would you?
No. But then it got me thinking, why the hell am I paying him?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Why am I paying him? He's sending these $6,000 and $8,000 and $10,000 bills.
Yeah, man, it's such a powerful tool. So let's talk about your staff and some other things that I've used it for. So as far as like HR goes, talk about onboarding. I mean, it's as simple as you tell it about your business, explain everything. It can give you an onboarding process. It can write you a handbook like it did for me. It can review handbooks. It can give you recommendations. You tell it where you're from, what laws and regulations are in your state. It's going to spit them all out for you. It can include it in yours. It can add to yours. It can create your own, right? It can do non-disclosure, non-compete, right? It can do just about anything when it comes to HR documentation. And then it can tell you what you need to have for be an HR person. If you could say, hey, act as my HR manager and tell me the different regulations I need to be following in the state of Oklahoma, right? There you go. Now you have it, right? Write me protocols for each one of those. There you go. Now you have it, right? It's just like boom, 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 boom. If you know how to ask it what to do, it can do it for you. Yeah. So you can take that into the HR function. So let's move over to marketing, right? Which is the big, big piece nowadays, right? Digital marketing and marketing in general. You see it everywhere on all social media platforms. But I'll tell you what I used it for. So it can literally write your email campaigns. It can write the body and the text. It can review your CRM program for issues. It can, let's see, what else did I use it for? I used it for, I'm forgetting.
Well, I tell you what I'd be using it for, because most of you guys that are not watching this show are wanting to work for yourself, but they're probably not working for themselves.
Probably not.
Right? I work for corporate world. I hated corporate world. I hated it. Because you have a bunch of email warriors. I feel like that's all they do is send out emails with task lists. You know what I mean? They're sending out all these fancy emails all the time. I'm telling you right now, if I was working in corporate world, I'd be looking like a genius. Because I would be working about 1 or 2 hours a day because I could respond to every single person's email. That would take 1 or 2 hours. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I would probably do my job in what would normally take me 2 or 3 days, I could do it in a day.
Yeah. So back to marketing, I was thinking about, that's crazy.
I mean, it's true.
It is. And back to marketing, think about SEO, right? And key terms and keywords and all that. I mean, it's just a breeze with ChatGPT. You can tell it what industries that you're in, what locations and regions that you're at, what are the key terms that need to be in your website or on your ads. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I don't know if it can build your website for you yet, but it's literally as simple as go on Fiverr, have somebody build your website, right? You can tell them the key terms that you want to be using. You can write your ad copy. You can pretty much do the whole, if not the whole marketing world in AI yet. We are literally that close.
Another example, I've used this thing a lot more than I thought I did. Thank you, whoever invented this program. I negotiated our truck parking.
On there?
Yeah. I uploaded our my operating agreement with my existing partners. Give you a backstory. Eric and I I'm trying to buy out my partners and then pull it into my bigger portfolio and build some industrial buildings and truck parking in Sapulpa. But I have 2 partners. Right? So what I did is I uploaded the P&L balance sheet and our equity stake in each and percentage of ownership. And I told it to lay it out what our percentage of return is from cash on cash to year over year. Mm-hmm. Right? From the day we owned it to this. And then I also told it to negotiate on my behalf for the 2 individuals I'm buying out. And it typed like a 3-page document. I uploaded the appraisal into it. So I pulled out this document. You saw them in here. Had all their documents put in. Had uploaded all the bids to complete the project because they were thinking, hey, we might just want to participate, but I really don't want to do that with them, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy, one of my partners, is a real estate attorney. And he was like, man, I'm just really impressed how you put this together. I was like, you're just starting to act like a businessman. I was thinking, Yeah, I mean, I did it in about 5 minutes before you walked in here.
Yeah.
And now, so uploaded it, sent it over to, hey, we'll get back with you. They sent me back
Rebuttal or whatever.
a response and a counter offer. And basically, I'm holding my ground through ChatGPT 4 Pro because I'm giving them all the comps. I told it to pull all the comps in the area, plus my appraisal already had it. And I said, hey, here's the cost. Here's the holding cost. When we were doing the project, it was going to be 4.5%. Now it's 6.5%. That difference in price is making me offer what I'm offering.
Yeah.
And they don't have any rebuttal at this point. So now they're like, well, we'll lower our price when we go sell it because it was up for sale, right? Because So long story short, the Saints probably going to negotiate that contract, and that's a difference of $300,000 right there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that ChatGPT did it, but it definitely is helping.
Yeah. I mean, it's generating the information as long as it knows how to.
It told them exactly what they're making on their money. It said, you invested this. This is what you're making annually on your money over 5 years of ownership.
Yeah.
And this is what you're making total to the penny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, and I said, I even told it to look at our tax structure on it and now they own businesses and what they would be probably assuming a tax liability.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah. And one of them said, hey, I have some 1030, I'll just 1031 into another deal.
Yeah.
Which they can do that. You know what I mean? But that's a perfect example of that's another thing that I would have to go get an attorney or hire a consultant, come in here, lay out all those numbers because I don't have time to do all that stuff. And I did it in 5 minutes before I walked in here.
Yep. And so, the same, for what you're talking about, that's high level ChatGPT use, right? And you can use it for high level. You can use it for low level.
You can use it for what you just did the other day.
What are you talking about?
I did for the fencing deal. I sent out a fencing agenda meeting. I said, create a meeting agenda. This is the concerns I have.
Oh, yeah.
And I sent it to our executive team, and I want to have a review of our fencing. We're in permanent fencing now, and we're just killing it. Eric's team is killing it. And it's almost like when it's too good to be true, you start raising flags. And I was like, hey, we probably
hoping to poke holes.
I just want to sit everybody around the same team and make sure we're on the same page because we're making 50-60% margins and we're underbidding all of our competitors by a significant amount. So
but we are doing some strategic things that a lot of people aren't doing.
I used ChatGPT to create that meeting agenda.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch gears onto another staff area that might be useful for you guys that are listening. So think about operations, right? And this is just one small widget in there, but think about training, right? I can't tell you how many training, step-by-step training modules and training documents that I've made through ChatGPT. And it's literally so fast. So, if you're like Josh and I were right when we first started, a lot of times you don't have the help, right? And you don't have somebody that's expert in making up training. You don't have somebody that's an expert in this, that, or the other. So use tools like we're talking about. And that's why we're bringing this up today and really spend a little bit of time to elaborate on some of the use cases that we've used it for that we can just remember off the top of our head. So, but training, it seems simple and but it's very monotonous. And if you've ever sit down and tried to write a training manual, you're like wanting to beat your head against the wall. So
most things in business that you do, you want to beat your head against the wall.
I like the Elon Musk said, he's like, it's like chewing, being a business owner is like chewing on glass or and staring into the abyss. So, but at the end of the day, if you're not utilizing it in your business, you're going to fall behind to people like Josh and I that are figuring out ways.
And there's so many more tack-ons now.
Oh, well, they're going to get this integration piece between building things and ChatGPT AI to where you can tell it to build something. I know it can probably write code and some different things like that, but once they integrate to where it can build things for you, like build a website, then the marketing people are going to start going by the wayside. And that's
engineers.
Engineers. It's just mind-boggling of what this thing can do and what the rate of exponential growth in this sector. So
then I'm going to put that damn thing in a freaking Tesla robot.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
And it's going to sit right next to me. And I don't want one of those deep seek robots. You know what DeepSeek is, don't you?
I do.
DeepSeek is a Chinese version of ChatGPT. I had that on my phone. I was thinking,
I hit you up and I was like,
you're
hey, you might want to.
Yeah, Eric was like, you really want that downloaded on your phone? I was like, thinking in my head, hell no.
Yeah.
I don't want any Chinese app on my phone right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, dude. So, but speaking of, you said DeepSeek. So I learned something the other day when I was in Oklahoma City. There's another friend of mine. I'm not going to mention his name here, but he's a business owner, high level guy. And I didn't know we have access to this, I'm sure, on ChatGPT, but it's called DeepSea. Not DeepSeek, but DeepSea.
What is that?
I know, right? I was like,
the ocean?
yeah, like the ocean, deep sea. And you can tell it to research something in general, right? So let's just say you wanted to understand something very, very specific, right?
I'm doing this right now.
You can type it in there and click the deep sea button, and it will literally give you like a
Deep search.
deep search. That's what it is, deep search. And it will literally deep dive, and it will spend a whole lot more time analyzing one particular subject, and it will spit you out everything that there is to know about that subject. Okay. And you can do your research that way and get the information at your fingertips this fast. So, and I just learned that this week, right? So
I said, I want to know everything about Eric McKellen.
oh God, please don't.
And it said, he has a little girl
Badass
physique, boring personality, dumb as a fucking box of rocks.
That's why I got ChatGPT for, man.
We knew this stuff wasn't always accurate.
I hate this guy, man. He's been on my butt here lately. Jeez.
Yeah, I thought,
In the same breath, he's like, man, he's making 50, 60% margins, but he's a dumbass mother. You know, I'm trying to figure out which one it really is, you know? But anyways.
Don't download Chinese stuff.
Don't download Chinese stuff.
They're probably still listening.
Yeah, they know exactly who we are, what we do, what our dog's name is.
Hey, if you have any good pointers of how you use ChatGPT and or any add-ons that ChatGPT is allowing us to add on now, let us know. I want to know. I watched 1,000 different videos of how to use that technology, but more efficient, better.
Learn to prompt. Learn to prompt.
Exactly.
Yep. You got to learn to prompt.
You got to spell the words right to tell it to prompt. Because one time I was spelling something and it was like, what the hell did this thing pop out?
If you've ever seen him use that, like I have him over his shoulder watching him.
Bob. I meant to spell Bob because I got him in an argument with. His name's Bob, but I kept on spelling boob. So it talked about the boobs in the contract.
Like, whoops.
Yeah, I was like, golly.
So, guys, don't get left behind. If you like this podcast, if you learned something, if you got business owners that you're friends with, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share with your friends. Help us out. We appreciate you watching. Until next time.